Hello everyone, this is the final Bosman, and on today's episode, it's like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King in here! Wow! Welcome to the show, I am Kyle Bosman, and I guess you probably saw the title of this week's episode. I want to talk about something I think that not a lot of us in games media are talking about right now. You might remember most of 2013, it's been almost a year now by the way, I was hyping up this upcoming head-to-head battle. These two competitors fighting for top name, top dog. They're gonna gnash at each other. It's gonna be crazy. And the thing is, it is crazy. That is happening now. And I feel like a lot of us in games media maybe should stop and appreciate this. The PlayStation 4 is killing it right now. Thing is, Xbox One is also killing it. They're both killing it. It just feels very different. It feels like two very different stories. So this week's episode, why it seems like the PS4 is killing it and why it seems like the Xbox One is not killing it. Firstly, why it seems like the PS4 is killing it. 5.3 million units sold. Sold to human hands. 5.3 million people bought a PlayStation 4. That is lunacy. That is monstrous. That is unheard of in this video game industry. 5.3 million units sold. Like, do you remember when the Wii was out? When it was just launching and it'd be on the news? And be like, look at this funny named thing, it's called the Wii. It's from Nintendo, who you'll know from the NES. And it appears that Wii Sports is sweeping the nation. It's like, PS4 is crushing those numbers. Good games are sweeping the nation. It's crazy that there are so many people who are willing to support this $400 machine. This is it. This is the best launch of all time. Let's put a ribbon on it. So I feel like it's kind of like in fantasy football, where there's a pretty new player who's doing very well. Advice columnists for fantasy football are always very slow to start recommending that player. They'll say, well, Josh Gordon may have had a great weekend last weekend, but he's still very young. And he's up against a pretty fierce defense this weekend. So I don't want to be wrong about this. Like, I don't want you to look at me and think I'm a wrong person. So I'm going to recommend the old guy who you see in commercials. And then Josh Gordon gets the most fantasy points of any wide receiver all season, despite missing 2 weeks. You dummies? PS4 is Josh Gordon. It's that same thing. It's like when it launched, it's like, oh, the November numbers will be interesting. And then the PS4 killed it. Then it's like, oh, well, the January numbers will be interesting. And then the PS4 killed it. And it's like, oh, the March numbers will be interesting. It's interesting now. This is the interesting time. We're in it. Everyone, I think it's safe to say that you can start Josh Gordon. Number two probably works for both columns. Multi-platform games performing better on the PlayStation 4. So this is quite the role reversal from what we saw last generation. During the last generation, the PlayStation 3, across most multi-platform games, looked or ran worse than their Xbox 360 counterparts. Largely because the cell processor is difficult to harness, so it takes a very talented developer to fully harness it. It's like kind of that, but also like, if you're a publisher, why divert so much attention to the version of the game that will sell the worst, which most PS3 games did? It's just kind of business. Anyway, today, the Xbox One has the worst of versions of multi-platform games. That's a strange thing, but I guess we should have seen it coming as far back as May. One of the Xbox engineers, I think his name is Greg Williams, take that out if I'm wrong, said the Xbox One purposefully did not target the highest end graphics. We've known all along, we should have seen this coming. This is not a high-end graphics machine, but it's not just that. It's not just like looking at two screenshots and saying, I like this one better. It comes down to performance too. So if an Xbox One multi-platform game tries to get the same resolution as the PlayStation 4, sometimes it will take a hit in frame rate, like with Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. But I think last week's Ground Zero's trailer that Hideo Kojima put out is very, very eye-opening. It's weird that anybody would do this. He showed the 4 versions of Ground Zeroes directly next to each other, showing distinctly that the PlayStation 4 is absolutely the best looking version of his game. that was weird. I don't know if we stopped to appreciate how weird that is. Nobody did anything like that last generation, saying, oh, here's the best version of my game, here it is. And there it was. Strange happenings, a really funny thing a lot of us glommed onto. You'll notice the sky is different on the PlayStation 4, not as many clouds. Kojima tweeted about those clouds. He said, special treatment for the sky is made for the PS4 based on atmosphere simulation. That is a tiniest, dumbest, stupid detail. That should not matter. I will never say a game is better because it has like a cool looking sky. The thing is though, that tiny detail might be a huge thing because any missing tech from the PlayStation 4 to Xbox One might indicate that this is something we might see more of and more of. I would say that in 5 years, we probably won't look back on today and say, hey, do you remember when Xbox One versions of games looked worse than PlayStation 4 versions? That was weird, huh? Yeah, they look the same now, buddy. I think in 5 years, we're much more likely to see, hey, remember when every time there was a difference between an Xbox One version of a game and a PlayStation 4 version of a game, there was a 20-page gaff thread? That was crazy, huh? Yeah, that was a long time ago. Oh, I'm going to be late to hoverboard class. Siri, transport me to hoverboard class. Another thing that makes it seem like the Xbox One is not killing it are Xbox games. Since the NPDs went private, we kind of only have a handful of ways of knowing how well consoles are selling. Basically just financial reports at the end of every quarter and press releases. And sometimes tweets from Jeff Keighley. But primarily these press releases, which by nature are only coming from these console manufacturers, so are kind of fluffy, trying to find any positivity in the actual numbers themselves. So what you'll see, like all of last generation, Sony would talk about consoles shipped. Like, we shipped this many consoles. This generation, they're talking about consoles sold, which is the important number because those are the people who are going to buy games, or actually human beings buying these consoles. The only reason they flipped, though, is that it's a good number now. If consoles sold was bad, they'd still be talking about shipped, which Wii U is still doing. Xbox One is doing some funny stuff with their press releases. In November, when the console launched, the press release was, this is the fastest selling console. Not the best selling, but we got them out there the fastest. Sonic the Hedgehog, baby. And then for this most recent month of January, the Xbox led the US software game sales, which is like, hey, there you go. Oh, actually, hold on, is there something there? Anton Enhance. Huh, looks like there might be like a scratch on the lens or something. Anton Enhance. No, it seems like there's something there. Anton Enhance. Yeah, that's an asterisk, all right. Let's see what that asterisk says. Includes Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Why are you doing that? They'll put an asterisk in your press release because it smells like fish. You don't have to do that. You have plenty of positive news. You don't have to talk about fun hours. Here's how many hours of fun people had. Like, I don't know, Xbox games sold. That might be a big deal to like some Microsoft investor who like feels better about his investments, or some Forbes writer can feel better about an article he wrote last week. To me, it dips out of like the fluffy we're used to, and almost into this swampy, murky belly of asterisks, which is like intentionally misleading. Don't become intentionally misleading. You're still doing great. Still what? You shipped 3-point-something million units? That is still crazy compared to the Wii. Celebrate that. You're doing fine. Still, I feel that as long as the Xbox One is more expensive and has weaker multi-platform games than the PlayStation 4, that it will probably never overtake the PlayStation 4 in top sales. That being said, who cares? We have shown as a globe of video game buying people that we are capable of supporting more than one video game system. We love video games, so it's nothing to be too concerned about. It's kind of like, it's like in the Olympics. It's like cross-country skiing, and you work so hard and you get across that finish line, and you would have been best in the world if it not for that one other person who beat you. I mean, you're still great, you know? And I mean, At least you're not like one of those guys from like the warmer climates who just seems to be happy to be there. Don't worry about it. I'll see you at the finish line. Actually, I'm going to stop and check out this trash can for a moment. Hey there, trash can. 2 sports analogies in one episode. My dad's going to like this one. And that is the show for this week. Before I go, earlier this morning, Monday morning, Microsoft in the UK announced a price cut and bundle for the Xbox One, bundling in Titanfall, knocking off 30 pounds. That is not only great news for people who love Titanfall, but it means that I just won my first bet of 2014. Hot dog! I say there's an 80% chance of there being a price cut for the Xbox One. Boost it to 89% chance if you count a $500 Titanfall bundle. Forgive my gloating, but that is 1 down, 9 to go. And it looks like Sonic Boom is going to be pretty darn good. Still going to lose that one. Anyway, that is the show for this week. If you're on Twitter, you can find me at Kyle Bosman. I will be back here next Wednesday, and I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Hey, remember when every time there was a difference between an Xbox One version of a game and a PlayStation 4 version of a game? There was a 20-page gaff thread. That was crazy, huh? Yeah. Glad that's over. Anyway, I'm going to be late to hoverboard class, so I gotta go. Siri, teleport me to hoverboard class. Okay. Good evening, class. Today, we're going to learn how to do ollies on your hoverboard. Yes! The trick to doing an ollie on a hoverboard is to lean back and then say, Skippy! These are voice-controlled hoverboards, by the way. Oh, yes, perfect. Go ahead and try. Okay, all right. Here he goes, nothing. Skippy! I did it! Teacher, I did it! I did a hoverboard ollie. Congratulations, Maximus. You're the best in this class. Thank you, teacher.